Welcome back, everyone. I am excited to introduce you to one of my favorite humans, Dr. Romie Mushtaq. She is a board-certified physician, award-winning wellness speaker, and the founder of brainSHIFT at Work. She is on a mission to transform mental health in the workplace and currently works with Fortune 500 companies, professional athletes, and global associations, along with a ton of entrepreneurs, right, Romie?
Yes.
And other money-making folks, investors, and so on. She is also the Chief Wellness Officer for Evolution Hospitality, which is a big deal. She has scaled a mindfulness and wellness program to over 7,000 employees there. That's pretty amazing. Her expertise is featured in national media such as NPR, NBC, TED Talks, and Forbes. And she just finished writing her first book, The Busy Brain Cure, to be published in 2024 by HarperCollins. Yay, I'm so excited. So to find the cure for your busy brain at drromie.com or at Dr. Romie on social media. Welcome.
Honored to be here with you and your community and present. Just honored to be here and of service.
There's so many things we can talk about, and you and I have so many private conversations. So if this feels like you're listening in on two ladies having tea, then that's kind of the vibe I think we're going for, right, Romie?
Absolutely. It is, I was sharing with Jen, I am following your lead and doing a little bit of what's prolonged digital detox for me. And I just returned home from the beach and breathing next to the ocean. And I came really casual and I was having this self-judgment Indianati moment, like, hi, I'm going to go have chai with Jennifer and her community. And I didn't get dressed and put on proper jewelry or do anything. And then I just realized, like, no, there was something about me being here today and doing this recording for your community that was so important. And that's it. And perhaps I really needed to detox at the beach to really stream of consciousness and be of service to your community.
Thank you. I get it. And I have those moments too. There's many times I'm wearing more of my yoga. What do you call it when it's not like really frumpy workout clothes, but you go out in public with them? Athleisure. Yeah, I like to wear a lot of athleisure.
Okay, but see, I'm the STEMinist in stilettos, and I'm sitting here barefoot talking to you. Normally, I take great pleasure in my tailored outfits and overpriced high heel shoes. And so today, here we are in the athleisure. There you go.
Hey, but we have to have our indulgences too, right? We have certain luxuries that are important to us. I'm a big fan of, well, I actually invest more in, swanky self-care kind of things, right? And out of the box self-care things.
So what's the latest one that you've just invested in?
What did I do recently? Well, I'm a big fan of fascial stretch. I really, really like that. So my core wellness team is always a naturopath, an osteopath, and a fascial stretch therapy. But my husband and I just went to, we love Thai yoga massage. Like, we are addicted basically. And there's a traditional Thai yoga massage place in Toronto that we went to the other week. And of course we booked the full 2 hours, right? Because otherwise it just feels like, I mean, it's amazing, don't get me wrong, but I could lie there all day and do that. So we're both self-care aficionados, right? But I'm all for investing in amazing things, and you do have an incredible wardrobe.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what I just experienced by the beach is very interesting, and feel the need to share this is for those of us, and you and I are going to get into this, who have busy brains. One of the things I hear often is, Romie, I can't sit and be mindful or meditate, and my brain just won't shut off. And that busy brain is, I experienced a very different type of sound healing that was incorporated into a massage with essential oils. And it was this dome that has vibrations and sends sound waves, and the music is synced up to the massage bed. So it was already heated, but it vibrates with certain pulses of the music. And so it was the sound was literally like traveling through my body, and the sound waves like above my head as she was massaging, and it was sacred. And so, just a beautiful experience. So I think we're starting off reminding everybody that's listening of what have you done for your self-care lately, and getting online and buying athleisure or expensive pair of shoes doesn't count. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's dive in and let people know a little bit about your journey from being a successful physician to your current role as CEO, an entrepreneur running the BrainSHIFT Institute, because I think it'll help people understand why we're talking about this today and how it connects with you being able to make more money and, amp
Yeah.
up your leadership and your visibility and so on.
Jen, it started with the success mantra that I honor my mother and father as immigrant parents to the United States. If we have one daughter and you will become a doctor, that in our Asian community settling in the Western world, security and financial security and success was measured by science. Your children grow up to become a doctor or an engineer, and there really wasn't anything else. And I succeeded. It was just expected of me. And so I really honor them for holding that space of excellence for me. And I entered neurology at a time where less than 5% of the brain doctors in the United States were women. It was a real calling. I loved my job. Not only was I seeing patients, I was doing cutting edge research, looking at how women's brains and hormones affected their epilepsy and migraines. And this was research that wasn't being done. It's really important because back then we didn't recognize this term, intrapreneur. Is here I was with a quote out of the box idea in a traditional corporate healthcare setting. Not only was I doing research that was bringing visibility and marketing to the medical school where I was on faculty teaching students, seeing patients, doing research, I had created a multi-million-dollar revenue stream in less than 24 months while being there. And I had kind of this lack of awareness about it because I was just so focused on the mission. But there was one problem, Jen, and it's a little humbling even today to talk about it, but like back then we didn't have the terms burnout or mental health crisis. There was a lot of shame as a doctor. You could lose your medical license even today by admitting you had a mental health issue. And I was having this crippling, what we know now, anxiety and difficulty focusing during the day and just caffeinating to keep going. And I wanted to sleep. I knew I needed it, but it wasn't happening because between the pressures of research, seeing patients, and our patients were prone to emergencies. So I look at about a 14-year span of my career. I never went an entire week with sleeping through the night. I would get woken up and either have just by a nurse saying your patient is having these issues in the hospital, or have to actually physically get up and go to the emergency room or to the ICU to take care of patients. And that really wore down. And it was what I loved. My spirit just no longer could find the joy in the things that used to bring me joy, like a female patient being able to become pregnant and deliver a healthy baby when she was told she couldn't because of epilepsy. Those things stopped giving me joy. And it led to the mental health symptoms. I'm telling you this, and your community knows this. It starts with the spirit. We ignore it. It turns into mental health symptoms and then physical symptoms. And in 2010, the burnout was so bad, I ended up in life-saving surgery. And I remember laying there in the hospital after having all cardiothoracic surgery and understanding nothing I've learned in medical school or up to this point is going to help me. And I can't just go back into that system. I'm going to die. And I had no idea what was next. And I really have to take your listeners back to 2010 in the United States. There were not yoga studios on every street corner the way there is now. And everybody's favorite medical school, YouTube, really wasn't online. There weren't apps on our phone telling us to pause and breathe. And from cassette tapes from my aunties, listening to Sanskrit mantras and Buddhist mantras and Sufi chants, I started to understand that sound healing that we opened with. This form of mindfulness and meditation that sent me on this global journey to work with healers and adapt integrative medicine and say, how can I bring what I know about traditional brain science together with what I'm learning from my mindfulness teachers and these global healers to heal people? And you fast forward to 2023, where you and I are talking, and with all praise to God, founder of the BrainSHIFT Institute, and my team and I, we take brain and mental health programs to promote wellness inside global corporations. I am that entrepreneur that is honored to serve people that are inside these institutions and know that they are humans and welcome healing as teams, as organizations. And so here I am today with you.
And thank goodness, right? Like that must be, does that not feel like a totally different lifetime 13 years ago? Does it feel like it's just yesterday and forever ago, or how does that feel?
I think being in your space on this podcast, I was having these flashbacks that my body was physically in the hospital again. It was physically at home with my mother and father healing, listening to a cassette tape player of these meditation chants. I was traveling, as I was telling you the story, with my mindfulness teachers in Cambodia, or the shaman that I met for the first time in Guatemala. So it actually feels like a continuation of my being and kind of timeless. It doesn't feel like another lifetime. It just feels like I'm on this endless continuum right now, sharing the story. And I'm just coming to you as like the next large shift in my life is happening. And I'm not allowed publicly to share everything yet, but you know a little bit, but I think you and I have yet to see what the next chapter completely unfolds to be. And that's what has me just smiling from my liver.
Smiling from your liver. Do you have that on a mug?
No, but it just,
or a t-shirt.
It's like, it's literally just coming from my like inner being, you know? Yeah.
That's amazing. And we do need to make those livers happy, don't we, Dr. Romie? Yes. So here we are now. You are the Chief Wellness Officer with Evolution Hospitality. You have created an amazing app. You're writing your book. There's all kinds of things. Tell us about the app a little bit more, because we have, like, everyone that's listening is busy. We are, doing a gazillion things at once. We can get that mental fatigue, right, from just holding too much information. And you get it when and all of you, I know you get this when you're a visionary, right? There's never a shortage of ideas. I'm sure I've given my team some mild strokes from the amount of, like, I'm joking,
downloads, yeah,
but like just constantly firing downloads at them. And but also too, and that's why I have a right brain on my team, meaning my COO, because I need someone else to hold my thoughts and remind me of, what did I say about this, or where is this thing at, or whatever. I just can't. The speed in which my brain works is such that I can't. But I know I'm not alone, right? Anyone that's a visionary, anyone that's a thought leader is probably not an integrator, is not a maintainer, is not someone that is really great at admin. Maybe you're good at it, but it's a zone of competence, not a zone of genius. So everyone listening gets it, right? We have busy brains. We like our brains on some level being busy and having creative ideas, because that's also how we generate income. And that's how we, get downloads for what we're going to create for our communities, what books we're going to write, or what new podcasts we're going to launch, or anything like that. But as we know, it's got some, it's got some snafus in it as well. So with your app, what would be the advantage to someone like me, or really anyone listening today, to be tuning into that?
So it starts here. I'm going to backtrack us, if it's okay, to something you said about, you're right, leaders, visionaries, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're in the C-suite, share a similar trait, where we live at what I use airplane metaphors all the time. Those of us that are successful, we know how to live at the 30,000 foot view, which is the idea generator, and seeing a problem or a situation and being able to come up with ideas, and at the 3-inch view of who's in front of me and what do I need to take care of. I don't like to use the word busy. Am I being of service, and am I being productive? Now, I, like you, am as guilty as anybody else of having those busy moments. And it's been what I've been researching since 2018, working with both entrepreneurs and people in corporate America. I want to stop the success shaming. I am unapologetically type A and success driven. And it is in my DNA. And by doing what I do, I'm of service to humanity, making impact, like you are, Jen, and like all of your listeners. But it can come at a cost, where we can do the spiritual and the self-care, but all of a sudden you're waking up and realizing I can't get going without caffeine in the morning, or maybe even a stimulant prescription like Adderall. People in both of our communities are needing that. This difficulty focusing what's actually now recognized as adult onset attention deficit disorder. So what sometimes can get mislabeled in the entrepreneurial world as I'm an idea generator and things are all just coming to me, when we can't channel them properly, like you mentioned, to an organized team that knows how to take your ideas and execute or hold space with them. It's actually could be a adult onset ADD, or what I call the entrepreneurial shiny object syndrome, right? We jump and we don't execute, or we don't sort and execute. And then this ruminating anxiety builds as highly intellectual people. And then we go to sleep and the sleep cycle is disturbed, their circadian rhythm. So that's the busy brain. The blessing of the last few years was I had this protocol that people would either come to a clinic and do one-on-one with me, or I would take these old-fashioned binders into corporate America and work with C-suite teams and say, get these labs. We had to figure out how to do it all in technology. So we have a busy brain test, and anybody here listening can take it for free online on my social media, on my website. We did the research and we have almost 17,000 people in our research period that took this test. We were able to understand high levels of stress in success-driven professionals, entrepreneurs, employees, doesn't matter what symptoms were turning up. And in the cloud of all this noise that's out there of health and wellness advice. Oh, should you take ashwagandha supplement? Should you take magnesium? Should you go to the doctor and get a scope done for GI? We all know we need to exercise, have a side hustle, do all those things, meditate, and yet none of it is getting done. And I wanted to clear the noise and create the most impactful micro habits that would get us out of busy brain, out of stress and burnout, into that highly productive place where we can be at that 30,000 foot view, seeing the entire world of our mission, and then execute at the 3-inch level in a productive manner. And that's known as the brainSHIFT protocol. So we took that, and it's on a technology platform, and we're now building the app, and it'll simultaneously release next year in January 2024 with the book.
Cool.
And so we run the 8-week brainSHIFT program for companies now. We've done it to the public a couple times, but really we're working with large corporate teams, and they're kind of like, Romie, we can go to EAP, we've got these meditation apps, employees aren't utilizing it. And we know cohort-based learning works. So anybody like that is trying to figure out, what do I do in my business and how do I succeed in a mastermind or in an app or a program, our research shows that transformation happens in cohort-based learning. Not me opening up the medical books, or Jen, you opening up an accounting book or taking another self-study course. That doesn't lead to transformation. It's someone there holding a space, and we do it together in community as a group, one step at a time. And the results we see are nothing short of miraculous in 8 weeks. And so we are eager to now scale this to the public. And so the app then gets launched with the book, and inside the book is the 8-week protocol.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So just for everyone listening, because you did mention the free quiz to take about the busy brain. So can you just let people know where to find that?
Yeah, if you go to drromie.com, and we'll give the link in the show notes at our website, drromie.com/busy brain test. You can take it for free. It goes to HIPAA compliant server. Our research data collection is over already, and you can get your score. This is a validated neuropsychology test, and it really shows you a score under 30, Jen, is this idea of, it's not that we don't have external stressors, but that we know how to process it and continue to perform. Score between 30 and 40 tells us there's a mild stressor, or what we call a brain drain, and you're at risk. There's like what we call an energy leak happening. So the things that normally sustain your circadian rhythm and a healthy sustained dopamine are now depleted. Things like a full night's sleep are not restoring you. A little caffeine, a good sex that no longer is doing it for you. And then after that, we start to see the stress and the burnout, where we know that you have a busy brain to the point your circadian rhythm is disrupted, and it's causing cognitive symptoms to your memory and mood. It is causing mental health symptoms such as anxiety, brain fog, or physical health symptoms. And that's really important for entrepreneurs and business owners to recognize. And so that's what, and we start to give you our solution. We have it open for the public there.
That's amazing. And yeah, I mean, our brain is our moneymaker.
Yes. Yeah.
As entrepreneurs. And so it really is, I think, for most of us, a totally forgotten organ to be really making a priority, because really what's happening in the brain is going to affect everything else.
I want to tell you the story, Jen, that I think your community will relate to, because you and I live in the spiritual world as well, and realm. And I can often hear things that are true about spiritual healing is important, or sometimes it can become spiritual bypassing. I remember very early on in my integrative medicine training, I went to an energy medicine conference, and somebody who had done advanced certifications heard I was a doctor and proudly telling me she has diabetes type 2. And she is now doing the energy cleansing of her chakras externally and showing me how she does it to stabilize her blood sugar. And I'm just listening with compassion and curiosity. And then I watch her shove a donut in her mouth. I'm not kidding you, a sugary glazed donut, knowing that, a diabetic is more prone to a blood sugar drop, craving a high sugar rush. And then she tells me that her hemoglobin A1C is above 7, which is, dangerous for a diabetic, and her blood sugar is not normal. And it was this lesson that you must take care of your brain, your body, and your spirit. And anybody that says, Romie saying, oh, just do everything for your brain and everything sorts itself out, or a spiritual healer saying, just do the spiritual healing of modality and everything heals itself out. It doesn't work that way. And so your community is highly spiritually evolved, things I can learn and from all of you, and perhaps you learn from my Sufi ways as well. But I am here to say we cannot ignore the state of our brain, that we have to get the state of our brain straight before we build our dreams and our teams.
Yeah. I mean, we could probably talk about that forever, right? But for all of you listening, I hope you can see why we've asked Dr. Romie to be our preferred vendor for the podcast connector, because we serve visionaries and thought leaders. That's who we're booking on podcasts, on summits, on stages, etc. And we can, I mean, even for me, I love podcasting. Like, I host 3 different podcasts, right? But I also love being a podcast guest. And I can feel like caca, for lack of a better word right now, when I'm so excited to chat with everyone, but I start getting calendar creep, right? And I start getting too busy, and I can feel, so for all of you listening that are getting on podcasts and stuff, it's fun to do it for sure. But when we're also running, I've run 3 different businesses, I run a household, I make sure my son gets to Taekwondo, like packing, there's a lot of moving parts. I've got to get my dog to the groomer. I've got to spend time with my, all the things, right? There's always a lot pulling at our time. And we can start to get into going through the motions and disconnecting from our body, or living from our head up, not from our brain up, but living from our head up, and being completely disembodied and not aware that there's some symptoms that are presenting, as you well know. So as you can see, Dr. Romie's amazing. I adore her to the moon and back. We've known each other for quite a while now, and I just know who she is at the core of her beingness and her heart. And I know how freaking Mensa smart you are, on top of how compassionate you are. So
an honor to be of service. It is.
Have you had a Mensa test?
No, you just said that, and I realized, oh, I haven't. And then I think, okay, do I want to do a test that was built by cisgender straight white male? I don't know, but that's another diversity, equity, inclusion topic for another time. But no, I haven't. But yeah, that would be a good hobby to take up when I have time. But you just said something, and I wanted to say, I don't want anyone to think they need another productivity tool or time management technique. Is when we tame our busy brain, we stop getting distracted, and every email or text message doesn't feel like an emergency. And like you and I know in the short time you and I have together, how to focus in and be of service, and then move on to that next task that may be in our professional life or our personal life. And that's what I want entrepreneurs to know, because we know from the clinical studies inside corporate America that wherever the state of your brain is really related to productivity, income out, how much you're producing, your, return on investment, your ROI. It's the same for us as entrepreneurs. We can live our passion, like you have heard Jennifer and I saying, but you have to be able to have an ROI and run a business. And I want everyone listening here to scale to that 7-figure club or succeed on getting on podcasts, and start with the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Think of the amount of entrepreneurs that I hear from regularly, including my clients, that have to take a significant break from their business, right? Because they're burning themselves into the ground, and then they're shooting themselves for, not that they should judge themselves or anything, but they just do, right? We tend to go down that blame shame spiral game. And so they're losing money. They're maybe having to, or then their calendar gets more busy because they have to cancel all kinds of things that do have to be rebooked. And it can become almost like a bit of a hamster wheel, right? Of always trying to catch up. And I remember when I was in forensics, right? I was working 18-hour days, plus working during my sleep, constantly waking up going, did I submit that affidavit? Oh my goodness, did I check this thing, right? And then I would live for the weekends, but I really only had Saturday, and Saturday was spent cleaning because I had no time or energy to do it during the week, being social if I had the energy. And then Sunday I spent going, I have to get back to it tomorrow. And then of course the alarm would go off on Monday morning, and I was like, oh, right. Not knowing I had adrenal fatigue, not recognizing that constantly reaching for little candies that were gross that I would never even buy, but they were there because I needed like sugar hits. I drank, probably 4 coffees a day. People love, by the way, to make fun of first responders, but why would we be surprised with the amount of adrenal fatigue they have, right? That they would be drinking coffee. And
it is, but then remember, and it's not just first responders, it's everyone I work with, from athletes to high level entrepreneurs. But what I want to remind you is that adrenal fatigue starts in the brain, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, right? So adrenal fatigue is a trendy topic in the entrepreneurial world, but and that's an important part of our body and endocrine system to heal. But the root is also in the brain and the circadian rhythm. So it all comes back. And yet at the same time, when I was seeing patients one-to-one in integrative medicine, you could do everything right. And if somebody was spiritually not fulfilled, or didn't have their spiritual rituals in place, or no soul-sucking relationship, it didn't matter that they were doing everything right for their sleep and their nutrition and their hormones, right? So it's really all three. But I'm here to say, do not ignore your brain.
And that is a doctor's order. Romie, we could talk forever, but we do have to wrap up for today. So thank you again for being here. And I know people are feeling your energy, feeling your heart and your wisdom and so on. And I know they're going to be excited to connect with you and learn more. I know Dr. Romie is always open to a really amazing speaking gigs and introductions. So if you're listening and you have a podcast or a stage that you'd love to have Romie on, I know she would be absolutely thrilled to chat with you about that. And can you just remind everyone where they can keep in touch with you? We're going to put these in the show notes, everyone, but we'll say it out loud as well.
Yeah. I'm Dr. Romie, as in homie, Romie, R-O-M-I-E, Dr. Romie on drromie.com and Dr. Romie on social media. And that is me that responds to you. I really love hearing from you, and any space I can hold for you and your brain and your vision, it is an honor to do so. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Thanks for being here. We look forward to hearing how this served you today, and we will see you again next time. Bye for now.